You know, as someone who has been playing Vanguard for a decade at least by now, I have to say that I tend to underestimate certain decks that each individual component tends to be very simple in terms of its effect, but once you combine all of them together, it became a force to reckon with. Something like, you know, the quiet character in the anime show where they don't really show much of their power until it is the time, and they are easily some of the strongest character in the show itself. And that is definitely how I feel about PRISM. PRISM, in my opinion, is the original Shao of meta. Like, a lot of people say Lua ruined the game and everything. Don't forget, PRISM was there. Every time PRISM came out or get a support, it became meta. Back when it was launched back during the Break Right era, it was one of the most playable meta triangle deck. Then when it get a G unit, it also became relevant for a good short while. Then when you look into V era, it also became one of the most powerful deck. And in my opinion, for Overdress, they might become relevant again as one of the top decks. Before anyone say anything, yes, I'm aware that there was one PRISM support that wasn't very good, but we don't talk about that.
Emotional damage.
Anyway, today I'm gonna be talking about what does the new PRISM do and what makes her a potential candidate for the base deck in the Overdress format right now. So let's start talking about PRISM main mechanic first, and it is very Bermuda-like, as the main mechanic of this deck is bouncing. You bounce card back to your hand through card effects or Labrador effect herself, and then you gain several advantage coming from it. So let's start off simply with Labrador herself. Since everything does center around her, she has ability to bounce a rear card once per turn during the main phase. This means that if you have any card that does search, you actually can reactivate it twice per turn, which make the thinning of the deck extremely fast and very efficient in my honest opinion. Not only that, Labrador also have an on-attack skill which is very similar to the original version of Labrador, where you call a bunch of PRISM unit onto the open Rega circle to get additional draw, power, and then also crit. So some of you might be wondering, how the hell are you going to empty your circle as you play in the battle phase? Well, it kind of boils down to most of the PRISM support, even those that are not PRISM in its name, does have ability to bounce itself back. Cell has ability to bounce herself back on top of another PRISM regard. The PRISM Searcher, aside from ability to be able to recover the soul, which the deck really needs, it also capable of bouncing itself back after attack to open up all the open regard circle needed for Labrador effect to fully utilize. If that's all the deck already capable of doing, it is already good. But they has to give both Celt and also Lady, the only two other PRISM unit in the deck right now, ability to get additional power on place. 5k doesn't seem a lot, but once you stack all the other effects together with the grade 1 that help you to add additional power to the PRISM unit that call in the same column, Labrador plus 5k front row effect and their own effect, you get maximum of 15k boost, not counting the persona right, which is actually really good if you're considering the fact that it can be done as early as turn 3.
Synergy.
And not only that, Lady, another PRISM regard, is also work well as a soul recoverer and also counter charger, as the deck do go through quite a lot of counter blasts in the earlier part of the game. And I would have to say the best part about PRISM is in its shield economy in their hand, as Lady and Cell work as a 10k shield in this hand, and because of how much you can filter it out with the Searcher, this means that it's not that hard for PRISM to have a bunch of cards in their hand that are at least 10k shield, which does avoid some of the more annoying guard restrict condition like battle kind of guarding, you know, guard 2 or more cards from your hand, or Omina Grigio, which usually lock out your trigger. So the fact that you have a bunch of cards that is 10k shield value is actually a huge value. And don't forget, PRISM main mechanic is bouncing, so you're gonna have a lot of hand size in general. But is the deck perfect? Of course not. The deck does have a slight issue with it, but it kind of fixable by a proper resource management, and that is the fact that the deck can be resource intensive, as you do use a lot of counter blast at the start of the game, you do use a lot of soul throughout the game. So as long as you are managing your soul properly using the card like Lady and the PRISM Searcher to get all the soul you needed, it should help you enough to get the combo consistent. So is the deck gonna be meta? Well, to think of it this way, burst on turn 3 very well, gets a shit ton of hand size, that is actually a good shield value, and the most important of all, has a crit pressure. If these are not good quality elements of a good meta deck, I don't know what is. How high it is though, well, that is something that you guys have to look forward to once I cover the tier list. But what do you guys think about Prism? Do leave down in the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, and this is McMegane signing out.